Welcome to Spotlight. I'm your host, Jane Wernette. Today I'm joined by three local nonprofits, the DuPage Foundation, GiGi's Playhouse Fox Valley, and the Naperville Environment and Sustainability Task Force. Today's Spotlight is brought to you in part by presenting sponsor, Busey Bank. You're watching Spotlight, and joining me now from the DuPage Foundation is Barb Sapaniak. So nice to have you with us, Barb.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. So we're going to start right out. What is the DuPage Foundation?
So the foundation is a 501c3 public charity wholly focused on supporting and raising the quality of life in DuPage County. And the way we do that is we work with donor individuals, corporations, and organizations to help them to efficiently and effectively give to the causes that really matter to them. And then we also address some of the most pressing challenges in our community through our grant making and our programs.
Yeah, it's a big job.
It is a big job.
Across a very large geography too, right?
Well, DuPage has more than 900,000 residents, and a fourth of them are really struggling to meet their basic needs. And I think that's shocking for a lot of people that we have need in DuPage County.
Yeah, I think that's very true. So talk a little bit about that, about what some of the issues and some of the needs are that you're addressing at the foundation.
So there are many, but I would say the top issues would be mental health. We're seeing a growing number of individuals that are experiencing anxiety and depression, particularly seniors and youth. We're also seeing food insecurity. And almost every food pantry that I've talked with has said that the number of clients they're seeing on a regular basis has doubled or tripled in just the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Right here in Naperville, one of the biggest food pantries in DuPage County is Loaves and Fishes.
Right.
And 3 years ago, they were serving 3,000 people. And now they've more than tripled that, and they're serving more than 10,000. And I think that really illustrates how pervasive this issue is. And then, of course, affordable housing. Housing is expensive in DuPage County, and there's a lot of people that work here that can't live in the county because they can't afford it.
Yeah, and then that gets into transportation issues, which is also then another issue, right?
Very much so,
It's
yes.
kind of like that whole supply chain of how you get to work and then how the work funds home, funds food,
Yes.
and all of that kind of stuff,
Very
right?
much so, yes.
Yeah, so give us a little bit of an understanding of how the foundation goes about addressing those needs.
So we have our Community Impact Grant Program. And through that, local nonprofit organizations can apply for funding in multiple issue areas. We're going to be launching our 2025 grant guidelines soon. We're going to be changing those priorities a little bit. They're going to be health and human services, workforce development, youth education, environment, and animal welfare. And then we also support arts and culture through our Arts DuPage initiative.
Okay.
And that's kind of how we learn about the needs in the community. We learn about the organizations that are addressing those needs, and we know who's doing it well. And then we have a grant committee that reviews all of the applications we receive, and they ultimately make the recommendations to our board. And they're always looking for, when they're looking at an application, what organization is really addressing the most pressing challenge in that category at any given time.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there's not enough money to
Yeah.
go around and meet the needs. So,
Yeah, there never is, right?
No.
Talk a little bit in that, because obviously you don't just step out of the back door of the DuPage Foundation and money is there. How do you get the money that you then provide to those grants? I'm applying for the money. Where is that money ultimately coming from?
Well, it's from very generous people in DuPage County, and obviously donors have invested, but we're really focused on building endowments so that the money is there. It's a consistent stream of funding from year to year. And donors will come to us and say, I want to support health and human services. And so they'll establish a fund at the foundation, and we use the income from that fund every year to support a health and human services program.
Okay. How do people find their way to you with that, Barb? I mean, obviously you have done a great job of getting the awareness out so much more than, 20, 30 years ago. But talk a little bit about that.
So that's on the advancement team. So I'm not the one out there doing that, but a lot of it is through wealth managers. And we've been really trying very hard to get out there and let people know that the foundation exists. And we're here to really help people figure out what they want to do. And my job is, you have an interest in a specific thing, like let's say mental health. My job is to connect you to find out what exactly do you want to do, focus on prevention or treatment.
Okay.
And trying to connect that donor to sort of those programs that really align with their interest.
Yeah, so they feel like their money is really having the impact that they are particularly looking for.
Yes.
Yeah. What plans do you have in place to continue? Because obviously you just gave the example of Loaves and Fishes and the increasing
Right.
needs there. They're not the only one across DuPage County. So how does the foundation plan to address those needs?
So we just approved a strategic plan for the next 3 years, and we're going to be launching the All in DuPage campaign, which is going to be focused on raising $35 million. And the reason we would be doing that is to double the impact that we're having and really increasing the breadth and depth of our grant making.
Okay.
And when I say that, we're going to start funding along a continuum of seed, sustain, and strengthen.
Seed, sustain, strengthen. Oh, that's good. I like that. I had to just process that for a hot moment. That's great. Seed, sustain. Yeah, I love that.
So seed grants, it's something new we'll be offering, and this is for organizations that are new, 501c3 for less than 3 years, just helping them get a start. It would be a matching grant. That's going to be new. And then sustain is what we're already doing now. And strengthen, with that is where we're really going to grow in the next 3 years. And one of the areas is capacity building, helping organizations build their capacity, and then transformational. And what we really want to do is help organizations really focus on larger, multi-year grants that really are focused on providing programs that will provide long-term solutions to some of our most pressing challenges.
Yeah, and I think that is always, the challenges. You get a grant one year, will you get it the next year? It's hard to sort of, it's hard to scale without knowing that you have sustainable money, right? So I'm sure that's something you're often having conversations around.
We are, and one of the things is we have to engage the community. And so that is something you'll see the foundation doing more and more in the next couple of years, is bringing the community together to build an ecosystem of collective impact. And we're doing that already with funders. So for the last year, we've been bringing funders together in the DuPage region to talk about the needs in the community and where are the gaps, and are there opportunities that we can work together and collectively fund some of these projects focused on these challenges. And then we're also going to be launching an investor circle. And that's bringing businesses, corporations, municipalities together, again, to see how we can work together to, they probably might not be hopefully to fund some of these programs.
Barb, it's been great chatting with you. I'm very excited for your campaign. That's a big number. 35 million is a big number. But I think you and your team are the folks to go get that done, right?
Well, we hope to do it.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you. So thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. And if you would like to learn more about the DuPage Foundation, please go and visit their website. Today's Spotlight is brought to you in part by presenting sponsor, Busey Bank.
This is the Run My Own Business dream. This is the colleges paid for dream. This is the retire early dream. This is Busey, where your dreams and possibilities become moments through trusted guidance and expertise, through lifelong relationships. Because we're here to help you achieve the life you've always envisioned.
What's the matter, boy? What are you trying to tell me? Is something wrong?
We live in a safe community, but not a crime-free community. If you see something, say something.
Naperville Animal Crime Stoppers.
Yes, I'd like to report a case of animal cruelty and neglect.
Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves.
Today's Spotlight is brought to you in part by presenting sponsor, Busey Bank. If you're just tuning in, you're watching Spotlight. I'm your host, Jay Murnett, and joining me now from GiGi's Playhouse Fox Valley are Hannah Moorkurt and Karen Sharbat. So nice to have you both with us. And Hannah, it's nice to meet you. I know you're a little new to GiGi's Playhouse.
Yeah, I've been there about since May.
Since May, great. Well, I think in the time that you've been there since May, you can tell us what it is.
Yes, definitely. So we work with people of all ages of Down syndrome, and we offer free services. So we are a nonprofit that offers free services, and we're 99% volunteer-based too. So we really work and connect with the community to facilitate our free programs.
Wow, okay. And so everybody from youth to seniors.
Yeah, we say 0 to 100.
Zero
can come
to
and join
100, I
us.
love it. I love it. That's great. Now, talk about it. You mentioned free programs. So give us a little bit of an understanding of the kinds of programming you offer.
Yeah, so we start with our 0 to 3-year-olds. It's called LMNOP. We do things like learn sign language and help them develop skills, all the way to adult programming, career development, where we teach them how to work in the community, how to volunteer in the community. We made tie blankets for the NICU at Edwards Hospital with our adults. So we're really working to be able to help them find jobs in the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to be very inclusive.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful. Now, Karen, how did you get involved with GiGi's?
Actually, I've been involved for really the past decade. A real good friend of mine from high school reached out and said, my GiGi's Playhouse, Josie's school, really needs some help with some fundraising things. Could you meet with them? And I said, well, of course I can. And of course, stopped in and came out as a board member. You know how that story goes, right? So. But I fell in love with the mission. I fell in love with our families. And of course, little Josie at the time, she's now, I think, maybe 16 or 17. But I just fell in love and my heart is there. And I've served on the board of managers. This is my second term. Came back this past summer. And I just love it. We're getting everything back up and rolling there at the Playhouse and couldn't be happier.
Yeah, now talk a little bit about that, because I know you mentioned off camera, and people in the community have asked, you were closed. So talk a little bit about why you were closed and now you're back open.
Yep.
Yeah. So it really had a trickle effect of COVID. COVID affected a lot of small businesses, and so it really took some time to get back on our feet. We were open for a little bit after COVID, and it really just was a struggle. So thankfully, they kind of restructured some things. And like I said, I started in May, and I've really been working on connecting to the local community, networking, working with volunteers, and we're really back up and running. In January, we're going to be offering 14 programs. So really, we're really making our way, and we're back on our feet.
That's great. I mean, sometimes you just have to take a pause, reconstruct, right, and then come back stronger.
And there's a lot of love behind the Fox Valley location. It is the second location here in the Chicagoland area. Of course, headquarters, or Inc. as we call it, is in Hoffman Estates. Yeah. And the Fox Valley location was the second Playhouse to open. And I'll let Hannah tell you all about what's happening in 2025. But it's a special place, and as we hit kind of some tough roads there, we had a lot of people come out and support, and it's one of the reasons why I came back to the Board of Managers now as well.
Okay. Well, that's great. I mean, when you have a clear purpose,
For sure.
It's easier to get people rallied behind that, even through challenging times.
Absolutely.
Hannah, talk a little bit about your plans for 2025, because it's a big year for you, right?
It is, yeah. So it's actually our 20th anniversary. Like Karen said, we were the second location. So Nancy, the founder, was reached out by some local families, and 20 years ago, they said, we want a location for Fox Valley. So we're got lots of plans in the works for 2025. We're going to have a big 20th anniversary celebration in April of 2025. So we don't have all the details worked out yet, but it will be in April.
Okay.
And lots of new programs and events as well that we're planning. So lots in 2025. We're also looking to expand too. So we're hoping to find a bigger building, bigger location.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can offer more for our participants.
Okay, and right now, about how many participants have you got?
So our database, we actually serve 500 families.
Okay.
So we serve a lot of people, so the need is there for a bigger space.
Bigger
So it's-
space. Yeah.
And it's not just here in Naperville, Fox Valley area. Actually, the radius goes out quite far. So it's a much needed service and much beloved place. And it just gives you a warm feeling, and to see people, achieving their best lives, achieving independence, and knowing that is 99% volunteer led. I just love it.
Yeah, well, and I would imagine too for the families it provides a lot of good communication and support, that
for sure.
you're not by yourself trying to navigate through this process, right? That there's lots of other families who are working in the same space as you are, and I would imagine that's part of what, when you say draws from that larger area, that's part of that benefit, right? You're creating relationships between families that might not otherwise be there.
Yes,
Definitely.
And that's really was the whole purpose behind Nancy Gianni starting GiGi's Playhouse for her daughter, GiGi, and realizing, hey, I need help, I need some information, and mostly I need support.
Yeah.
And she's a tremendous person. I look up to her so much, as well as GiGi. In fact, they both came out to the Playhouse about a month or so ago and met with some of our community leaders, and kind of just told the story of who we are, who we do it for, and what we're looking to achieve here in 2025.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, as you kind of think to that 20th anniversary, Karen, talk a little bit about volunteers, because you, as you mentioned, that's the heart and soul of your organization. It's volunteer led. How do you go about becoming a volunteer? What kinds of opportunities are there?
Well, I'm going to let Hannah speak to the actual opportunities, but definitely to get involved, reach out to the Playhouse. You can certainly serve on the board. We are actively looking for new board members. We're rebuilding from the inside out, and we'd love to welcome you. But we also have, interior opportunities to serve, helping with some of our programming as well.
Yeah, so volunteers help lead and assist our programs, as well as help out around the Playhouse too. I've had people paint rooms for us. I've had people, carpenters come fix things for us. So it really is a community effort.
Okay.
And I think it's really beautiful. I had a high school student paint a mural, or we had a Boy Scout troop build a stage for their project.
So cute.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So cute.
So it's cool to have the community really help us.
Be a part of it.
Yes.
That's right.
And I would imagine there's some good awareness that happens in that volunteer experience, right? Because maybe you know somebody with Down syndrome, maybe you've never met anybody with Down syndrome. So I would imagine even in that, you're sort of serving the whole community in creating those connections.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming by. We wish you all the best in 2025 with the 20th anniversary and continuing to expand and hopefully find a new home for GiGi's Playhouse.
Fantastic.
Yes,
and thank you for spotlighting GiGi's.
You're welcome. And to find out more about GiGi's Playhouse Fox Valley, please go and visit their website. We're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned. We're coming right back. Today's Spotlight is brought to you in part by presenting sponsor, Busey Bank.
This is the When Art Flourishes, Everyone Flourishes commitment. This is the Let's Revitalize Our Neighborhoods commitment. This is the Roll Up Our Sleeves and Pitch In commitment. This is Busey, where our commitment to strengthen our communities is a top priority. Through energetic, engaged volunteers, through monetary support and advocacy. Because Busey is more than a bank that does well, we're a bank that does good.
Today's Spotlight is brought to you in part by presenting sponsor, Busey Bank. Welcome back to Spotlight. And joining me now from the Naperville Environment and Sustainability Task Force, or NEST as it's otherwise called, is Fernando Arreola. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're just going to call it NEST, but I'd love for you to explain what is NEST.
Yeah, NEST is a really interesting entity. I know you guys have a lot of 501c3s here. We're an official task force of the city of Naperville. And one of the things that surprises a lot of people, because it's an all-volunteer organization, no one involved in NEST is doing it full-time, no one's paid, and no money comes in and no money goes out. So it's a really interesting nonprofit focus. Anyway, our key mission is basically to advise and educate the city, the community as well, and the city government and leadership on sustainability issues in order for people in Naperville to have a better quality of life.
Okay, nice summary. I like that. So talk a little bit about what you did in this year, in 2024.
So 2024, we did a lot of, it was a good year, first of all. A lot of emphasis was around Naperville's energy mix, and that a lot of people don't know that 80% of our energy comes from coal. Which is basically makes us one of the leading carbon producers, and it's dirty energy. So we spent a lot of time just educating the community around that. We did it through having community meetings. We went to city council meetings and spoke at public forum there. And we also went to some of the groups. So we actually went to places and contributed to the Caroline Club and their environmental fair. We went to some churches. We even marched in the St. Patrick's Day parade about that. Then we had some other stuff that we did too. We did a great styrofoam recycling event. We supported some city initiatives. Like one of the things that I'm excited about is they have a compost recycling program. We'll see how that works out. And then we've had a lot of educational formats and seminars for people around the community to get involved.
Okay, and what are you looking to do as you move to 2025?
So 2025, I'd say more of the same thing, but trying to raise the bar a little bit. So again, we'll do our monthly meetings. So every month we have a meeting where we invite the entire community in, and they can come in and learn about sustainability opportunities. For example, if you wanted to get tax credits so you could make your home more energy efficient and lower your energy bills, we'll have seminars or meetings like that. We'll also go out to the community and get involved in the community and things that they're doing to try to make sure that we can kind of advocate in that manner. And we're also going to try to have a candidate forum for city council members to make sure that consumers and citizens can kind of hear what the different city council member candidates will have to say in terms of their platforms for their elections.
Okay, and so thinking a little bit about, some of those meetings that you're having, where are you having your meetings?
So usually they're almost always at the Municipal Center on 400 South Eagle Street, so basically City Hall.
Okay.
And they're usually the third Monday of every month, and they start at 6:30 and go to about 8 p.m.
Okay.
And then we also go out in the community, so if different community members have opportunities for us to get involved or advocate for them, we go out in the community as well.
Okay, so talk a little bit, kind of about some of those initiatives. Give us a little bit more, like you talked a little bit about, how to make a more sustainable, non-carbon footprint. Give some examples of what you're sharing with folks.
So this is one of my favorites. Is just this last Monday, Barbara Benson on our building and development team held a Zoom meeting Monday afternoon. So it's the middle of the workday, work week, that kind of thing. And it was not for consumers. It was mainly for the building community. So think builders, contractors, architects.
Okay.
And it was all about the new Illinois stretch codes, which a lot of people aren't familiar with that, but it's basically new building codes that are going to go into effect January. Municipalities don't have to use them, but they're threefold in their benefits. So number one, they lower costs because you're not using as much energy, so people save money. Two, the buildings are more energy efficient, so the carbon footprint's lower. People in Nest love that, right? And then the third one is the buildings are more comfortable, so your building's a little bit, warmer in the winter, cooler in the summer, that kind of thing. And they did this Zoom meeting with the contractors, and the thing that impressed me, I was surprised, they got people from surrounding communities to get involved too. So it wasn't just Naperville contractors and building professionals, it was people from around the communities. So I think we're going to try to do more things like that, where it's like, hey, sometimes we'll do something for general residents, and general residents can come to those too. But other times we'll do things for people who are more specialized.
Okay, kind of in the trades or in certain other aspects that could lead to sustainability.
Exactly, and this is kind of cool too. So Nest doesn't always drive the train on these either. Sometimes our role, because we'll kind of accordion in and accordion out depending on what the opportunity is, sometimes our role is just to support it. Something that I think is kind of similar to what's going to happen, that just happened with this building trade thing was, in the spring, the Conservation Foundation, let me see if I can remember this, if the right way to say this next one, the DuPage County Storm Water Management,
okay,
and then the City of Naperville are going to put on a series of seminars about native landscaping. And so the thing that's interesting about this is people would talk about native landscaping a while ago and be like, isn't it going to ruin the way our yards work?
Right.
It's like, is it going to turn my yard into a prairie? And what people have come to know is like, hey, these plants are just as beautiful as some other plants that you're using, except they are better with stormwater management, so there's less flooding.
Right.
And they also allow pollinators to kind of naturally pollinate the plants, so the plants in the gardens are healthier and the community's healthier. So those three entities are putting on this 3-part educational series, and I encourage anyone who's interested to go, because it's supposedly going to be a phenomenal event, in March, so right before gardening season, on how you can landscape your garden with using native plants. These are primarily targeted to kind of the smaller landscaping community, people who would like go around and landscape for individual homes or businesses.
Okay.
But the sense we're getting from just some feedback, early feedback from the community, is that we think a lot of it is people who are into gardening or just like to do their own home landscaping will be able to go too. So 3 events, that's going to come up in March right before the gardening season.
Nice, that'll
Yeah.
be good. Well, and you kind of address, one of the things I was going to ask you about, you're partnering with other organizations, and I liked your analogy of you accordion in and accordion out. But it sounds like you're trying to do work with other people within the community.
For sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
The styrofoam event that I talked to you about, that was our waste team partnered with the Naperville Noon Lions Club, and there's a guy who leads the charge there named Jim Woodring, who has incredible energy and incredible insight, and he was a fantastic partner, because not only did he help us put on the event, but he also helped us spread the word, and whenever you get that scale, it makes things makes the whole
Sure.
thing more effective.
So now, if people wanted to get involved with you, how would they go about that, Fernando?
So I would say if you come to a community meeting, which is basically every Monday or third Monday of the month at 6:30 at the Naperville Municipal Center.
Okay.
They can go to our website, and then they can also follow us on social, on Instagram and Facebook, and so we get a lot of traffic there as well.
Okay, and then chat with you about all the very many ways they can be helpful.
Exactly. We'd love to have people get involved.
Yeah, and I'm assuming businesses and organizations as well. So whether I'm an individual or I'm part of another group?
Oh, absolutely. I think the businesses, I think there could be really significant upside depending on what their interests and ambitions are. So we definitely welcome the business community to get involved.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you would like more information about Nest, please go and visit their website. Today's Spotlight is brought to you in part by presenting sponsor, Busey Bank. I'd like to thank all of my guests for joining us on Spotlight, and our friends at Busey Bank for their generous sponsorship of today's show. To learn more about the organizations featured on this episode, please visit our website at nctv17.org. And to stay informed about what's happening in our community, sign up to receive our daily news update and like and follow us on social media. For Spotlight, I'm Jane Renette. Thank you for watching.